100 subscribers! We did it!
Woo! Thank you so much for your help. We know that we're kind of a small channel right now, but the hope is as we put on more videos and do more projects that will grow, and your support is really important to that.
So thank you so much and stick around for today's video.
Hello, I'm here in one of the most important rooms in the house. We have our furnace here, we have our AC, and we have our washing machine. And without these things, life becomes a lot more difficult. When we moved into our home, we found out we needed a new furnace, which is kind of a crappy thing to figure out right after you have gone into a lot of debt. And so, yeah, our home is like 80 years old, and we had to replace the furnace. So one of the things that they told us was the ductwork was done improperly. Before it had a boiler system, and so they added in ductwork, and it was just not done very well. It was kind of hard, you could tell, to put it in our home because the ceilings weren't really high enough and things like that. And so one of the issues was that there's only one return for our entire house, and for the size of our home there should be 2 returns. But because of the layout of our house, putting in a second return would be really, really difficult. And so, or maybe even impossible actually. So they told us one of the cheaper fixes would be to put in return grills. And basically return grills just let air pass from one place to the other. And so we don't have a second return, but the air is able to communicate more through the rooms, which means the furnace doesn't have to work as hard and it should last for longer, is kind of the idea. So this is a return grill. It's pretty simple. It's this piece of metal. There's honeycomb cardboard in the middle, and then on the other side there's a piece of metal. But it really helps, the honeycomb helps block some of the light and sound coming from the other room. This helps even out the pressures. Even if you have the door closed, the air can still flow. And so it's a relatively inexpensive way of helping your furnace last for a lot longer, which furnaces are really expensive. So we think it's been a really good addition to our home, and I don't know, we were worried about the cosmetics, but I feel like it just kind of fits in and it looks good.
So in order to see what size of grill you can install in your wall, you want to know how spread apart the studs on your wall are going to be. In order to know that, you can use one of these, a stud finder, to measure the distance between the studs. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's mark that there. So now that we have the measurement, now that we have the markings, we can go ahead and measure the distance between those 2 markings. So it comes up to about 16 inches. So that means that that's our maximum amount, 16 inches apart. So now knowing that, we can go and choose what grill is going to work for our wall. So these are all the sizes that you can actually get. It's going to all depend on the measurements that you take between your studs. The bigger the better, because you're going to have more flow. But as you can, this is just to give you an idea what skills they can. So here we took apart the honeycomb side and the frame side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and put it on the wall and make sure that we have these dimensions so we can make our hole in the drywall. So we can install this guy first, and then we'll mark it in the inside, and we'll install this guy second. So now that we have the grill, let's go ahead and draw the dimensions in the wall. That way we know where to cut with the saw. So you want to make sure that you're level, right? So, okay, now that we're level, now that we have these two sides and they are straight, we can just simply measure from this point. You can simply measure from this point, right there, right there, right there, right there, and simply we just join. There we go. Now that we have the main shape, you're ready to start cutting.
So I started cutting this already. I'm just using a reciprocating saw, and yeah, I'll show you kind of how I cut it. I'm definitely no expert. The one thing I've learned about the reciprocating saw is that you just have to have confidence and go for it. If it's going way too slow, then you're never going to be able to cut anything well enough. So here goes. And this is one of the hard things, is getting these edges. Because every time I try starting, I go all over the place. I'm not that good with a saw, with a reciprocating saw. One of the nice things about the return grills is that the grill actually comes out maybe half an inch to an inch. And so even though this hole is not perfect, as long as I can get everything to fit okay, it won't look like that by the end of the project.
So let's go ahead and see if our part works. I think I'm gonna have to take a little more down there. Yep. So here I got a file, and I'm gonna use the file to file it down so I can get that little bit that we have here. So I could be doing this with a cutting knife. This is working pretty good, and I think I can get it more flat this way than with a knife, with a box cutter or something like that. This is working really good. Alright, let's see how our frame fits now. perfectly now. Great. So now that I have the framing there, I'm gonna go ahead and use this pencil to mark the shape of the sides for so I can do the other hole. So just using my pen, I can just track about the line that I'm supposed to get.
Now that we have marked it right here, we can cut through to the other side. Now we have a hole through to the other room. So I'm just going to keep on cutting. One of the things I didn't account for, if you look right here, this is actually the end of a piece of drywall, and that is really hard to cut through, just so you know, if that's part of your project. If you have babies, this is a good way of doing projects with them. Move the crib, give them lots of toys, and have them smile at the camera. Hi, handsome. Now we're nearing some of the final steps. So you can see that on the one end, I just placed in the metal with the cardboard. Let's see. Okay. And so now I'm just going to fit this one over it. And so if you have two people, this is much easier with two people. The other person I have with me is 8 months old. So I just kind of have to do it on my own. But you can see it wasn't, I had a little stubborn corner right there, so I just pushed it until it went through. And of course, it fell out on the other side. So I'll have to go finish it from the other side. Trying to stick this inside of this middle part. Okay, I think I maybe got it. And then of course you want to check from the other end and see how it looks. It's a lot of back and forth. And it looks almost great. You want the cardboard to be about in the middle, and I pushed it out a little too far. So just gonna grab that, adjust it, and now we're ready for the fun drilling stuff. First thing you need is a drill bit. You want it to be just a little bit smaller than the screws. Make sure that it isn't bigger than the screws, because obviously if you make a hole that's bigger than the screws, then you're going to have some problems. Because the screws won't go in. So basically you just place this on top of the metal. You're just going to drill a hole through the metal that the screw can go through. Okay, that's enough to know where I need it to go. Now it will be easier not holding that. Alright, there's one hole. Okay. Now I have our drill. Now we've made holes with our drill bit. And so now we're ready to just put in the screws and we're done. It's pretty simple. And then you'll do it to the other side, just the same thing. And so yeah, I'll show you the finished product once it's done.
And there you go, the finished product. Looks great. And comes with the white screws, and so you guys can see it's really easy. You can go ahead and do it yourself.
So thank you for watching our video. Now that we have a new AC and furnace and we added in some transfer grills, hopefully we'll have some appliances that will last for a really long time. Like and subscribe. We appreciate your support. Copper, can you say hi?